And welcome back, where the roundtable is now here and convened as we welcome the king of Oakland County. That would be Eldridge Patterson.
Emperor.
We're going to talk Chinese. We'll keep it appropriate there. Seated in the middle is Mike Brennan, editor and publisher of MITechNews.com, an old friend from the Detroit Free Press. And Milan Stevanovich from the Detroit Chinese Business Association is also here. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Carol. Thank you for having us.
So Mike, I know you've done many things on technology and your writings, and you're running MITechNews.com. You're the editor and publisher. What is the mission and goal of MITech News?
To sort of demystify technology for what's going on in Michigan so you can understand it. We write it in pretty simple language. We don't really write down. I mean, probably people know more than I do anyway, right? But we try to cover what's going on around the state, and lately we've been focusing very heavily on CAV, autonomous vehicles, mobility, all those buzzwords you're hearing right now that are big in Detroit. That's where we're shifting into that. And we're going into video. We're going to be live. We have our own platform being built so that we can do MITech News TV probably in the second quarter.
There we go. And Milan, you have with Dcba, you've been involved with helping build two-way bridges between Michigan and China. And what is the overall goal of Dcba? Is it just to bring more businesses in, or what's the purpose?
Well, we promote Michigan people, products, and places in a positive light to the local and global audience. We try to create bilateral relationships. The Chinese are wonderful at hosting. If you're ever like a guest in China, it's just fantastic what they do. So we try to do the same thing, make sure anybody who's coming to visit us have a world-class experience. And thanks to organizations like Oakland County's Economic Development Team, we've been able to become number 4 in the nation in the amount of foreign direct investment deals, number 2 in the nation in Chinese enterprise employment, and help Michigan attain, retain, and gain on being the mobility center.
And Brooks, Oakland County, which has, in the international side of things, it is a big magnet and draw for companies looking globally. When they come into Michigan, Oakland County is one of the places that they look. I know you have a number of companies. Is China the number 1 market?
Yeah, but they are moving. Now, we have over 1,100 foreign-owned direct investors, which means we're the largest in the state, and we're going after other targets around the country. Japan is my largest foreign investor. Italy's there, but China's about 3rd now, so they're moving up.
Yeah, and I know the other thing, too, we're speaking of technology. You started Automation Alley, gosh, it was how many decades?
1999.
Yeah, and you were way ahead of the curve on this and having things.
Well, no, I'm just a good listener. I was at lunch, I listened to the guys before whom I was speaking, and they'd all have the same complaint at lunch. We can't find talent. We can't get talent for the job. So I thought, we'll bring these groups together. It's sort of a networking operation focused on technology.
So where do you think we are right now from base when you started that? I mean, the economy was falling apart back in the time, and jobs were leaving in the hundreds of thousands from the state at that moment. As you're doing this now, looking, 15, 20 years forward as we are right now, are we doing enough, do you think, to try to bring the talent and address these technology needs?
Well, I think we recognize, I can speak for Oakland, I don't want to speak for the state, but certainly Oakland has seen that picture. In fact, a couple of years ago, I think it was under, it was under Trump that my gal, Irene Spanos, was invited to the White House, only 29 people from around the country, and she was the only one from Oakland County, which emphasized on direct investment, foreign direct investment. And so we were recognized back then as a company that, or a county that had a whole lot of thought about where the growth is going to be.
Well, and as we're dealing with conditions and things as they are today, Mike, you have an event that you are holding, the IoT Tech Connect event, which is coming up, and I know we're going to run the website here at some point. Yep. So for people who are interested, and again, what is the mission of that event?
Well, again, it's talking about the Internet of Things. Your earlier guest, Michael Noblet, was talking about that, and everything's getting plugged into the Internet. It's all getting connected. And in Michigan, that's important because we're developing the connected and autonomous vehicles at the American Center and at M-City and other places around the state. So that'll be a big focus. We'll also be talking about augmented reality because a lot of folks are using that for manufacturing in different ways. Cybersecurity, you got to protect it.
So is this an event geared towards people already in the business looking to expand, or is this something for young people trying to learn about what's taking place, trends? Who's the intended audience?
Both, actually. We're actually going to have a workshop in the morning for 75 Detroit area high school kids to learn how to code, because that's the basis. You can't really go forward in technology unless you know how to write code, right? Yeah. And so we're going to have that, so there'll be a lot of young people there. But it's more of a B2B, business-to-business conference where what we say is you're in Michigan, so here you are. You have a show that you don't have to fly to, you don't have to get a hotel room, and the people you're going to meet you can do business with right away.
And I know there's also going to be a competition, a Chinese competition to help startups here who are looking, and tell us, it's part of this event as well.
Yeah, so InnoSTARS, I was a guest of theirs in Suzhou, China last year, where they brought like 50 companies from the United States. And then now I said, hey, let's host the InnoSTARS Business Competition in Detroit. That's going to happen right after the IoT Connect conference. It's free. We're looking for companies of all shapes, sizes, sectors to pitch, and then take it from there.
And it's being held at the Michigan Science Center,
It
right?
is. Yep. April
Seems
29th.
appropriate. There's much education going on down there too, right?
And they are the beneficiary as well.
Yeah. Well, we're going to continue the conversation. We'll be back with a little more Michigan Matters right after this. And welcome back to Michigan Matters, where we're talking with Al Brooks Patterson, Mike Brennan, and Milan Stevanovich about mobility, autonomous, and how our region is positioned. So the question for all of you, and Brooks, let me start with you, is how is Michigan positioned in the race for the mobility capital title?
Oh, I think because of Detroit's history and its current activities, Michigan is ahead of the curve. I mean, we got out first, and we're being chased by a couple parts of the country that are very wealthy and have, just a plethora of scientific research capabilities. But I'll be the naysayer at the table. We better not move too fast and get out in front of the purchasers who are going to buy these cars. Are you going to buy a car for, what is it, 37, 47 grand and be able to drive it 300 miles and you run out of juice? I don't think we've sold this yet to the
To the whole thing. Mike, mobility supremacy in Michigan, how do you think we're positioned?
I think we're great. We have more engineers per capita in Michigan than any other state in the country, and almost as many as California in total. And most of those are in the auto industry. We have test facilities in Ann Arbor. We have test facilities in Willow Run and Lansing. We have all the components there, but I have to agree with them also is people have to be willing to buy these vehicles and pay the price.
Right.
Otherwise, you have no market.
And Milan, how do you think we're positioned right now?
One of the things we were missing is managing the market capitalization, and that's how, like Mike Noble's former company, Intel, can afford to buy Mobileye for $15 billion. You can't manage for profits and manage for market cap at the same time. This move that Ford just did of bringing on Amazon's CFO is a great move. GM spinning off Cruise, great move. And so I'm happy with a lot of the recent activity.
Ford has been very aggressive about this. Bill Ford has been talking about this for a long time here, and their movement in Corktown, in fact, with all these things here and putting center in there, and there's many more young people looking at this industry, looking and moving there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're expecting 5,000 folks to be living in the Corktown area. My favorite bar, Nemo's, no plug there, but they right behind them, they're building this big condo development, which used to be a big parking lot. And so, yeah, they're getting ready for it. And the young people like the idea of living in a big city, being able to walk to things or have mass transit. Don't have that in the burbs. Sorry, Brooks.
But now,
heck we don't. Come on, let me name the communities.
So Brooks, you started your Oak County 248 effort, which again gets into with the technology.
Strictly a tech networking session. We got 2,000 IT firms here. Most of them don't know the others.
Yeah.
So we bring them together in groups of a couple hundred a month. And they're starting to meet people. That's just strictly a networking opportunity.
Yeah. And Milan, you have with China, you are very aggressive and progressive about reaching out there and helping. You've been there many times. How do you think Michigan, under Snyder, was doing a lot to try to reach out to China? I think Governor Whitmer is more tied in with roads at the moment. But as we look at the forward, the focus of where that goes globally speaking, how do you think that's going to go?
Well, we got a transition between the empires right now with the trade wars. It's been a little bit quiet. Chinese investment in the United States has dropped like 90% in the last 2 years. If the guys want to get back to business, and we get a trade deal, Michigan is really primed.
Are we being impacted, though, with this trade friction between Beijing and Washington? Is it affecting the states out in the hinterlands here in the Rust Belt?
Well, it's affecting a lot of companies, especially in the Michigan area, where there's this comprehensive global supply chain that's been all upended, and so we actually are probably feeling it more than any other state.
And I talked with Michael from ACM, Mike, in the last segment about the talent needs and talent challenges here. Is that enough to stop the momentum that we have here? Where do you think the technology and jobs situation gets resolved here? How do we fix the talent gap?
You got to start the kids young. For instance, at the Science Center where we're having IoT Tech Connect, they have the Stevanovich program for middle school girls to teach them coding and things. Other organizations we work with, like Accelerate Kid, start at the kindergarten level to teach these kids coding. I mean, you got to expose them to it and show them that this is a real future for them. And most of the kids are really much more tech savvy than we old folks anyway, right?
So these industry, even within coding, it's not just automotive. It's like video games and so many other things here with coding.
Yeah.
Do you think we're doing enough on the educational with our colleges, community colleges, and high schools of training in these areas?
At the secondary level, I mean, at the college level, yes. We have some great colleges. The problem is keeping the kids here in the state. I mean, I did the same thing. I went to U of M. As soon as I graduated, I was out of here, right? And so, yes. So, I mean, it's the same problem. But if we have the opportunities for them, if we develop that mobility and CAV and all that here, they're going to stay here.
Do you think, Brooks, with the brain drain that took place, which actually is part of what, when you started your automation alley, a lot of people had left, the jobs were being right-sized, outsourced, what have you, but a lot of young people taking those degrees and going to Silicon Valley and other places. Is there enough reason here now for more young people to stay, do you think?
Well, I think we've turned it around significantly, given them more opportunities to choose from. Are we the strongest in the nation? Probably not. We don't have the sun, we don't have the ocean, so we're combating different things, the Rust Belt image. But yeah, I think if you sit down and seriously look at it, we got a lot to offer.
We got 30 seconds here, Milan. You get the last word with the Detroit Chinese Business Association, which I know we're running your website here about. People want to learn more about it.
Sure.
Do Chinese companies, when they're looking to expand into the U.S., looking at Michigan, is our talent pool still a draw as it was?
Yeah, we also have 15,000 Mandarin-speaking engineers here that offer immediate translation and communication capabilities that really doesn't exist in many other areas.
Hey, it's the only county that started Mandarin all of our schools.
You did. You were progressive on there.
Because I could see the opportunities there.
There you go. And you have your IoT Tech Connect event going on in just a few weeks here at the Michigan Science Center.
April 29th, come on down. We feed you all day. We show you all about IoT. How can you not come down?
There
right?
we go. And that's going to be the final word here. Thank you, folks, so much for being here. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next Sunday for more Michigan Matters.